going here today, reading from Genesis to Revelation, and I'm doing it every blessed day. So I stopped at Levels chapter 6. So before we continue, let's say our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us all our trespasses. She forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So we are starting from Leviticus chapter 7. Repayment offerings. The following are the regulations for repayment offerings, which are very holy. The animal for this offering is to be killed on the north side of the altar, where the animals for the burnt offering are killed, and its blood is to be thrown against the fourth side of the altar. All its fat shall be removed and offered on the altar. The fat still, the fat covering, the internal organ, the kidney, and the fat and the best part of the liver. The priest shall burn all the fat on the altar as a food offering to the Lord. It is a repayment offering, and any male of the priestly family may eat it, but it must be eaten in a holy place, because it is very holy. There is one regulation that applies to both the sin offering and the repayment offering. The meat belongs to the prince who offers the sacrifice. The skin of an animal offered as a burnt offering belongs to the priest who offers the sacrifice. Every grain offering that has been baked in an oven or prepared in a pan or a giddo belongs to the priest who has offered it to God. But all grain offerings, whether mixed with oil or belongs to all the Aaronite priests and must be shared equally among them. Fellowship offering. The following are the regulations for the fellowship offerings to the Lord. If a man make this offering as a thanksgiving to God, he shall present together with the animal the sacrifice an offering of bread made without yeast, either thick loaves made of flour mixed with olive oil, or biscuits. In addition, he shall present one part of each as a special contribution to the Lord, to the priest to take the blood of the animal and throws it against the altar. The flesh of the animal must be eaten on the day it is sacrificed. None of it may till the next morning. If a man bring a fellowship offering in fulfillment of a vow or as his own freewill offering, not all of it has to be eaten the day it is offered, but any that is left over may be eaten on the following day. Any meat that still remains on the third day must be burnt. If any of it is eaten on the third day, God will not accept the man's offering. The offering will not be counted to his credit, but will be considered unclean, and whoever eats it will suffer the consequence. If the meat comes into contact with anything ritually unclean, it must be eaten. but must be burnt. Anyone who is ritually clean may eat the meat, but if anyone who is not clean eats it, he shall no longer be considered one of God's people. Also, if anyone eats the meat of this offering, he has touched anything ritually unclean, whether from a man or an animal. He has touched whether from man or animal. He shall no longer be considered one of God's people. The Lord gave Moses the following regulations for the people of Israel. No fat of cow, sheep, or goat shall be eaten. The fat of an animal that has died a natural death or has been killed by a wild animal must not be eaten, but it may be used for another purpose. Anyone who eats the fat of an animal that may be offered as a food offering to the Lord will no longer be considered one of God's people. No matter where the Israelites live, they must never use the blood of bird or animals for food. Anyone who breaks this law will no longer be considered one of God's people. The Lord gave Moses the following regulation for the people of Israel. Whoever offers a fellowship offering must bring part of it as a special gift to the Lord. Bring it with his own hands as a food offering. He shall bring the fat of the animal with its breast and present it as a special gift to the Lord. The priest shall burn the fat on the altar, but the breast shall belong to the priest. The right hind leg of the animal shall be given as a special contribution to the priest who offers the blood and the fat of the fellowship offering. The breast of the animal is a special gift, and the right hind leg is a special contribution that the Lord has taken from the people of Israel and give to the priest. This is what the people of Israel must give to the priest for all time to come. This is the part of the food offered to the Lord that was given to Aaron and his sons to the day they were ordained as priests. That day the Lord commanded the people of Israel to give them this part of the offering. It is a regulation that the people of Israel must obey for all time to come. These then are the regulations for the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, the sin offerings, the repayment offerings, the ordination offerings, and the fellowship offerings. There on Mount Sinai in the desert, the Lord gave this command to Moses on the day he took the people of Israel to make their offerings. The ordination of Aaron and his sons. Chapter 8. The Lord said to Moses, take Aaron and his son to the entrance of the tent of my presence, and bring the priestly garments, the anointing oil, the young bull for the sin offering, the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread. Then call the whole community together there. And when the community has assembled, he said to them, what I am now about to do is what the Lord has commanded. Moses brought Aaron and his sons forward and told them to take a ritual beat. He put the shirt and the robe on Aaron and the sash round his waist. He put the ephod on him and fastened it by putting its finely woven belt around his waist. He put the breastpiece on him and put the Urim and Thummim and on the front and put it on the tent of the Lord. Everything in it, and this way he dedicated it all to the Lord. He took some of the oil, sprinkled the equipment on the basin and its base in order to dedicate them to the Lord. He ordained Aaron by pouring some of the anointing oil on his head. Next, Moses brought the son of Aaron forward and put shirts on them, put sashes round their waists, and tie caps on their head, just as the Lord has commanded. Then Moses brought the young bull for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons put their hands on its head. Moses killed it and took some of the blood, and with his finger put it on the projection at the corner of the altar, in order to dedicate it. He then poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. In this way, he dedicated it and purified it. Moses took all the fats on the internal organs, the best part of the. He took the rest of the bull, including its skin, flesh, and internal intestines, and burned it outside the camp, just as the Lord has commanded. Next, Moses brought the ram for the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons put their hands on its head. Moses killed it and threw the blood on all four sides of the altar. He cut the ram in pieces, washed the internal organ, the hind legs with water, and burnt the head, the fat, and all the rest of the ram on the altar, just as the Lord has commanded. This burnt offering was a food offering, and the smell was pleasing to the Lord. Then Moses brought the second ram, which was for the ordination of priests, and Aaron and his sons. And his sons put their hands on its head. Moses killed it and took some of the blood and put it on the robe of Aaron's right ear, the lobe of Aaron's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then he brought Aaron's sons forward and put some of the blood on the lobes of their right ears, on the thumb of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Moses then threw the rest of the blood on all four sides of the altar. He took the fat tail, all the fat covering the internal organs, the best part of the liver, the kidneys with the fat on them, and the right heel leg. Then he took one loaf of bread from the basket of unleavened bread dedicated to the Lord, one loaf made with oil, and one biscuit, and he put them on top of the fat and the right heel leg. He put all this food in the hands of Aaron and his sons, and they present it as a special gift to the Lord. Then Moses took the food from them and burnt it on the altar, on top of the burnt offering, as an ordination offering. This was a food offering, and the smell was pleasing to the Lord. Then Moses took the breast and presented it as a special gift to the Lord. It was Moses' part of the ordination realm. Moses did everything just as the Lord has commanded. Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood that was on the altar and sprinkled them on Aaron and his sons and on their clothes. In this way, he consecrated them and their clothes to the Lord. Moses and his sons, take the meat to the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence, boil it and eat it there with the bread that is in the basket of ordination offerings, just as the Lord has commanded. Burn up any meat or bread that is left over. You shall not leave the entrance of the tent for 7 days, until your ordination rites are complete. The Lord commanded us to do what we have done today, in order to take away your sin. You must stay at the entrance of the tent day and night for 7 days, doing what the Lord has commanded. If you don't, you will die. This is what the Lord has commanded me. So Aaron and his sons did everything that the Lord has commanded through Moses. Chapter 9. Aaron offers sacrifice. The day after the ordination rites were completed, Moses called Aaron and his sons and the leaders of Israel. He said to Aaron, take a young bull and a ram without any defects and offer them to the Lord, the bull for a sin offering and the ram for a burnt offering. Then tell the people of Israel to take a male goat for a sin offering, and 1-year-old calf, and a 1-year-old lamb without any defect for a burnt offering, and a bull and a ram for a fellowship offering. They are to sacrifice them to the Lord with the grain offering, mixed with oil. They must do this because the Lord will appear to them today. They brought to the front of the tent everything that Moses has commanded, and the whole community assembled there to worship the Lord. Moses said, the Lord has commanded you to do all this, so that the daily light of his presence can appear to you. Then he said to Aaron, go to the altar and offer the sin offerings and the burnt offering to take away your sins and the sins of the people. Present this offering to take away the sin of the people, just as the Lord commanded. Aaron went to the altar and killed the young bull, which was for his own sin offering. His son brought him the blood, and he dipped his finger in it, put some of it on the projections at the corner of the altar, and poured out the rest of it at the base of the altar. Then he burnt on the altar the fat, the kidneys, and the part of the liver, just as the Lord has commanded Moses. But he burnt the meat and the skin outside the camp. He killed the animal which was for his own burnt offering. His sons brought him the blood, and he threw it on all 4 sides of the altar. They handed him the head and the other part of the animal, and he burnt them on the altar. Then he washed the internal organs and the hid legs and burnt them on the altar, on top of the rest of the burnt offering. After that, he presented the people's offerings, and he took the goat that was to be offered for the people's sin, killed it, and offered it, as he has done with his own sin offering. He also brought the animal of the burnt offering and offered it according to the regulation. He presented the grain offering and took a handful of flour and burnt it on the altar. This was in addition to the daily burnt offering. He killed the bull and the ram as a fellowship offering for the people. His sons brought him the blood, and he threw it on all 4 sides of the altar. Aaron put the fat part of the bull and the ram on top of the breast of the animals and carried it out to the altar. He burnt the fat on the altar and presented the special gift to the Lord for the prince, as Moses has commanded. When Aaron had finished all the sacrifices, he raised his hand over the people and blessed them, and then stepped down. Moses and Aaron went into the tent of the Lord's presence, and when they came out, they blessed the people. And the dazzling light of the Lord's presence appeared to all the people. Suddenly, the Lord sent a fire, and it consumed the burnt offering and the fat part of the altar. When the people saw it, they all shouted and bowed down with their face to the ground. Chapter 10. The sin of Nadab and Abihu. Aaron's son Nadab and Abihu each took his fire pan, put live coals in it, added incense, and presented it to the Lord. But this fire was not holy, because the Lord had not commanded them to present it. Suddenly the Lord sent fire, and it put them to death there in the presence of the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord was speaking about when he said, 'All who serve me must respect my holiness. I will reveal my glory to my people.'" Aaron remained silent. Moses called him Mishael and Elzaphan, the son of Uzziel, Aaron's uncle, and said to them, "Come here and carry your cousin's body away from the sacred tent and put them outside the camp." So they came and took hold of the clothing of the corpse and carried them outside the camp, just as Moses has commanded. Then Moses said to Aaron and to his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not leave your head uncombed or tear your clothes to show that you are in mourning. If you do, you will die. The Lord will be angry with the whole community. But all your fellowship Israel are allowed to mourn these deaths caused by the fire which the Lord sent. Do not The Lord said, "Do not leave the entrance of the tent, or you will die, because you have been consecrated by the anointing oil of the Lord." So they did as Moses said. Rules for prince. The Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons are not to enter the tent of my presence after drinking wine or beer. If you do, you will die. This is a law to be kept by all your descendants. You must distinguish between what belongs to God and what is for general use, between what is ritually clean and what is unclean. You must teach the people of Israel all the laws which I have given to you through Moses." Moses said to Aaron and his two remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Take the grain offering that is left over from the food offering to the Lord. Make unleavened bread with it and eat it beside the altar, because this offering is very holy. Eat it in a holy place. It is the part that belongs to you and your sons from the food offering to the Lord. That is what the Lord commanded. But you and your family may eat the breast and the head left that are presented as a special gift and the special contribution to the Lord for the priest. You may eat them in any ritually clean place. These offerings has been given to you and your children as a part that belongs to you from the fellowship offerings of the people of Israel. They shall bring the head, legs, and the breast at the time the fat is presented as a food offering to the Lord. This part belongs to you and your children forever, just as the Lord commanded. Moses asked about the goat for the sin offering and learned that it has already been burnt. This made him angry with Elijah and Ithamar, and he commanded, "Why don't you eat the sin offering in a sacred place? It is very holy, and the Lord has given it to you in order to take away the sin of the community. Since its blood, you should have eaten the sacred no, since the blood was not brought into the sacred tent, you should have eaten the sacrifice there as I commanded." Aaron answered, "If I have eaten the sin offering today, would the Lord have approved?" The people presented their sin offering to the Lord today, and they brought their burnt offering. But still, these terrible things have happened to me. When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Chapter 11, Animals that may be eaten. The Lord gave Moses and Aaron the following regulations for the people of Israel. You may eat any land animal that has divided hoofs and that also chew the cud, but you must not eat camels, rock badgers, or rabbits. They must be considered unclean. They chew the cud but do not have divided hoofs. Do not eat pigs. They must be considered unclean. They have divided hoofs but do not chew the cud. Do not eat these animals or even touch their dead bodies. They are unclean. You may eat any kind of fish that has fins and scales, but anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales must not be eaten. Such creatures must be considered unclean. You must not eat them or even touch their dead bodies. You must not eat anything that lives in the water and does not have fins and scales. You must not eat any of the following birds: eagles, hawks, falcons, buzzards, vultures, ostrich, seagulls, storks, herons, pelicans, cormorants, hawks, or bats. All winged insects are unclean except those that hop. You may eat locusts. You may eat locusts, crickets, or grasshoppers. But all other small things that have wings and also crawl must be considered unclean. Whoever touches the dead bodies of the following animals will be unclean until evening: all animals with hoofs, unless their hoofs are divided and they chew the cud, and all four-footed animals with paws. Whoever carries their dead bodies must wash his clothes, but he will still be clean till evening. Moles, rats, mice, and lizards must be considered unclean. Whoever touches them or their bodies will be unclean until evening. Whoever touches them or their dead bodies will be unclean until evening. And if their dead bodies fell on anything, it will be unclean. This applies to any article of the wound, clothes, leather, or sacking, no matter what it is used for. It shall be dipped in water, but it will remain unclean until evening. And you must break the pots and food which could normally be eaten, but on which water from such a pot has been poured will be unclean, and anything drinkable in such a pot is unclean. Anything on which the dead bodies fall is unclean. A clay stove or oven shall be broken, but a spring or a cistern remains clean. Although anything else that touch their dead bodies is unclean. If one of them falls on seed that is going to be sowed, the seed remains clean. But if the seed is soaking in water, and one of them fall on it, the seed is unclean. If any animal if any animals that may be eaten dies, anyone who touches it will be unclean until evening. And if anyone eats any part of the animal, he must wash his clothes, but he will still be unclean until evening. Anyone who carries the dead body must wash his clothes, but he will still be unclean until evening. You must not eat any of the small animals that move on the ground, whether they crawl or walk on 4 legs or have many legs. Do not make yourself unclean by eating any of these. I am the Lord your God, and you must keep yourself holy, because I am holy. I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, so that I could be your God. You must be holy, because I am holy. This then is the law about animals and birds, about everything that lives in the water and everything that moves on the ground. You must be careful to distinguish between what is ritually clean and unclean, between animals that may be eaten and those that may not. Chapter 12. The purification of women after childbirth. The Lord gave Moses the following regulations for the people of Israel. For 7 days after a woman gives birth to a son, she is ritually unclean, as she is during her monthly period. On the 8th day, the child shall be circumcised. Then it will be 33 more days before she is ritually clean from her lust of blood. She must not touch anything that is holy or enter the sacred tent until the time of her purification is completed. For 14 days after a woman gives birth to a daughter, she is ritually unclean, as she is during her monthly period. Then it will be 66 more days before she is ritually clean from her lust of blood. When the time of her purification is completed, whether for a son or daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence a 1-year-old lamb for a burnt offering, and a peacock or a dove for a sin offering. The priest shall present her offering to the Lord and perform the ritual to take away her impurity, and she will be ritually clean. This then is what a woman must do after giving birth. If the woman cannot afford a lamb, she shall bring 2 doves or 2 pigeons, one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering, and the priest shall perform the ritual to take away her impurity, and she will be ritually clean. Chapter 13. Laws concerning skin disease. The Lord gave Moses and Aaron these regulations. If anyone has a sore on his skin, or a boil or an inflammation which could develop into a dreaded skin disease. He shall be brought to the Aaronite priest. The priest shall examine the sore, and if the hairs in it has turned white and sore appear to be deeper than the surrounding skin, it shall pronounce the person unclean. Okay, it is a dreaded skin disease, and the priest shall pronounce the person unclean. But if the sore is white and do not appear to be deeper than the skin round it, and the hair have not turned white, the priest shall isolate the person for 7 days. The priest shall examine him again on the 7th day, and if in his opinion the sore looks the same have not spread, he shall isolate him for another 7 days. The priest shall examine him again on the 7th day, and if the sore has faded and has not spread, he shall pronounce him ritually clean. But if the sore spread after the priest have examined him and pronounced him clean, he must appear before the priest again. The priest will examine him again, and if it has spread, he shall pronounce him unclean. This is a dreaded skin disease. If anyone has a dreaded skin disease, he shall be brought to the priest, who will examine him. If there is a white sore on his skin which turned the hairs white and is full of pus, it is a chronic skin disease. The priest shall announce him unclean. There is no need to isolate him, because he is obviously unclean. If the skin disease spread and covers the person from head to foot, the priest shall examine him again. If he finds that it actually has covered the whole body, he shall pronounce the person ritually clean. If his whole skin has turned white, he is ritually clean. But from the moment an open sore appears, he is unclean. The priest shall examine him again, and if he sees an open sore, he shall pronounce him unclean. An open sore means a dreaded skin disease, and the person is unclean. But when the sore heals and becomes white again, the person shall go to the priest, who will examine him again. If the sore has turned white, he is ritually clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If anyone has a boil that has healed, and if afterward a white swelling or a reddish white spot appears where the boil was, he shall go to the priest. The priest shall examine him, and if the spot seems to be deeper than the surrounding skin, and the hairs in it has turned white, he shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dreaded skin disease that has started a boil. But if the priest examine it and find that the hair in it has not turned white, and that it is not deeper than the surrounding skin, but is light in color, the priest shall isolate him for 7 days. If the spot spreads, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. He is diseased, but if it remains unchanged and does not spread, it is only the scar left from the boil, and the priest shall pronounce him ritually clean. In the case of a person who has been burnt, if the raw flesh becomes white or reddish white, the priest shall examine him. If the hairs in the spot has turned white, and it appears deeper than the surrounding skin, it is a dreaded skin disease that has started in the bone, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. But if the hair in it has not turned white and it is not deeper than the surrounding skin, but it's light in color, the prince shall isolate him for 7 days. The prince shall examine him again on the 7th day, and if it is spreading, it is a dreaded skin disease, and the prince shall pronounce him unclean. But if the spot remain unchanged and does not spread and is light in color, it is not a dreaded skin disease, and the prince shall pronounce him unclean. Hmm? 7 days. Okay. It is a dreaded skin disease. Okay. And the prince shall pronounce him unclean. But if the spot remain unchanged and does not spread and is light in color, it is not a dreaded skin disease. The prince shall pronounce him ritually clean, because it is only a scar from the burnt. When a man or a woman has a sore on the head or the chin, the prince shall examine it. If it seems to be deeper than the surrounding skin, and the hairs in it are yellowish and thin, it is a dreaded skin disease, and he shall pronounce the person unclean. If when the prince examines him, the sore does not appear to be deeper than the surrounding skin, but there are still no healthy hair in it, he shall isolate him for 7 days. The prince shall examine her again on the 7th day, and if it has not spread, and there are no yellowish hair in it, and it does not seem to be deeper than the surrounding skin, the person shall shave the head except the area around the sore. The prince shall then insert him for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the prince shall again examine the sore. If it has not spread, but if the sore spreads after he has been pronounced clean, the prince shall examine him again. If the sore has spread, he needs not look for yellowish hair. The person is obviously unclean. But if in the prince's opinion the sore has not spread and healthy hair are growing in it, the sore has healed, the prince shall pronounce him ritually clean. When a man or a woman has white on the skin, the prince shall examine that person. If the spots are dull white, it is only a blemish that has broken out on the skin. The person is ritually clean. If a man loses his hair at the back or the front of his head, this does not make him unclean. But if a reddish-white spot appears on the bare spot, it is a dreaded skin disease. The prince shall examine him. If there is a reddish-white sore, the prince shall pronounce him because of the dreaded skin disease on his head. A person who has a dreaded skin disease must wear torn clothes, leave his hair uncombed, cover the lower part of his feet, and called out, unclean, unclean. He remain unclean as long as he has the disease, and he must live outside the camp away from others. Laws concerning mildew. When mildew on clothing, whether wool or lining, or on any other piece of lining, or wool clothes, or on leather, or anything made of leather. If it is greenish or reddish, it is a spreading mildew and must be shown to the priest. The priest shall examine it and put the object away for 7 days. He shall examine it again for 7 days. No, he shall examine it again. Okay, on the 7th day. And if the mildew has spread, the object is unclean. The priest shall burn it, because it is a spreading mildew which must be destroyed by fire. But if when he examines it, they find that the mildew has not spread on the object, he shall order it to be washed and put away for another 7 days. Then he shall examine it, and if the mildew has changed color, even though it has not spread, it is still unclean. You must burn the object, whether the rot is on the front or the back. But if when the priest examines it again, the mildew has faded, he shall tear it out of the clothing or leather. Then if the mildew reappears, it is spreading again, and the owner shall burn the object. If he wash the object and the spot disappears, he shall wash it again, and it will be ritually clean. This then is the law between mildew on clothing, whether it is wool on lining, or on lining or wool cloth. This is how the decision as to whether it is ritually clean or unclean. Chapter 14. Purification after skin diseases. The Lord gave Moses the following regulations about the ritual purification of a person cured of a dreaded skin disease. On the day he is to be pronounced clean, he shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall take him outside the camp and examine him. If the disease is healed, the priest shall order 2 ritually clean birds to be brought, together with a piece of cedar wood, a red cord, and a sprig of hyssop. Then the priest shall order one of the birds to be killed over a clay bowl containing fresh spring water. He shall take the other bird and dip it, together with the cedar wood, the red cord, and the hyssop, in the blood of the bird that was killed. He shall sprinkle the blood 7 times on the person who is to be purified from his skin disease, and then he shall pronounce him clean. He shall let the live bird fly away over the open fields. The person shall wash his clothes, shave off his hair, and have a bath. He will then be ritually clean. He may enter the camp, but he must live outside his tent for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall again shave his head, his beard, his eyebrows, and all the rest of the hair on his body. He shall wash his clothes and have a bath, and then he will be ritually clean. On the 8th day he shall bring 2 male lambs and 1 female lamb, a year old, that are without any defects, 3 kilograms of flour mixed with olive oil, and 1/3 of a liter of olive oil. The priest shall take the man and these offerings to the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence. Then the prince shall take one of the male lambs, together with the 1/3 of a liter of oil. He shall offer as a repayment offering. He shall present them as a special gift to the Lord for the priest. He shall kill the lamb in the holy place where the ones for the sin offerings and the burnt offerings are killed. He must do this because the repayment offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest and is very holy. The priest shall take some of the blood of the lamb and put it on the lobe of the right ear, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toes of the right foot of the man who is to be declared ritually clean. The prince shall take some of the olive oil and pour it in the palm of his own left hand, dip a finger on his right hand in it, and sprinkle some of it 7 times there in the Lord's presence. He shall take some of the oil that is in the palm of his hand, and some of the blood of the lamb, and put them on the lobe of right ear, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toes of the right foot of the man who is to be declared ritually clean. He shall put the rest of the oil that is in the palm of his hand on the man's head. In this way he shall perform the ritual of purification. Then the prince shall offer the sin offering and perform the ritual of the purification. After that, he shall kill the animal for the burnt offering and offer it with a grain offering on the altar. In this way, the prince shall perform the ritual of purification, and the man will be ritually clean. If the man is poor and cannot afford any more, he shall bring for his purification only 1 male lamb as his repayment offering, a special gift to the Lord for the priest. He shall bring only 1 kilogram of flour mixed with olive oil for a grain offering, and 1/3 of a liter of olive oil. He shall also bring 2 doves or 2 pecans, 1 for the sin offering and 1 for the burnt offering. On the 8th day of his purification, he shall bring them to the priest at the entrance of the tent. The prince shall take the lamb and the olive oil and present them as a special gift to the Lord for the priest. He shall kill the lamb and take some of the blood and put it on the lobe of the man's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The prince shall pour some of the oil into the palm of his whole left hand, and with a finger of his right hand sprinkled some of it 7 times there in the Lord's presence. He shall put some of the oil on the same place as he put the blood, on the lobe of the man's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toes of his right foot. The rest of the oil that is in his palm he shall put on the man's head, and in this way perform the ritual of purification. Then he shall offer 1 of the dove or pecan as the sin offering, and the other as the burnt offering, with the grain offering. In this way the prince shall perform the ritual of purification. This is the law for the man who has dreaded skin disease, but who cannot afford the normal offering required for his purification. Mildew in houses. The Lord gave Moses and Aaron the following regulation about houses affected by spreading mildew. These were to apply after the people of Israel entered the land of Canaan, which the Lord was going to give them as their possession. If someone finds that the Lord has sent mildew on his house, then he must go and tell the prince about it. The prince shall order everything to be moved out of the house before he goes to examine the mildew. Otherwise, everything in the house will be declared unclean. Then he shall go to the house and examine the mildew. If there are greenish or reddish spots that appeared to be eaten into the wall, he shall leave the house. And lock it up for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall return and examine it again. If the mildew has spread, he shall order the stone on which the mildew is found to be removed, and throw it to some unclean place outside the city. After that, he must have all the interiors walls scraped and plastered, dumped in an unclean place outside the city. Then other stones are to be used to replace the stone that were removed. A new plaster will be used to cover the wall. If the mildew breaks out again in the house after the stone has been removed and the house has been scraped and plastered, the priest shall go and look. If it has spread, the house is unclean, it must be torn down, and its wounds and all its parts must be carried out of the city to an unclean place. Anyone who enters the house while it is locked up will be unclean until evening. Anyone who lies down or eats in the house must wash his clothes. If when the prince comes to look, the mildew has not reappeared after the house has been replastered, he shall pronounce the house ritually clean, because the mildew has been completely removed. To purify the house, he shall take 2 birds, some cinder wood, a red cord, and a sprig of hyssop. He shall kill one of the birds over a clay pot containing fresh spring water. Then he shall take the cinder wood, the hyssop, the red, and the live bird, and shall dip them in the blood of the bird that was killed, and in the fresh water. And he shall sprinkle the house 7 times. In this way he shall purify the house with the bear's blood, the fresh water, the live bird, the cinder wood, and the hyssop, and the red cord. Then he shall let the live bird fly away outside the city over the open field. In this way he shall perform the ritual of purification for the house, and it will be ritually clean. These are the laws about dreaded skin diseases, sores, boils, or inflammations, and about mildew in the clothes or houses. These laws determine when something is unclean and when it is clean. Chapter 15: Unclean bodily discharges. The Lord gave Moses and Aaron the following regulations for the people of Israel. When any man has a discharge from his penis, the discharge is unclean, whether the penis runs with it or is topped up by it. Any bed on which he sits or lies is unclean. Anyone who touches his bed, the man has sat on must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remain unclean until evening. Anyone who touches the man with the discharge must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge spits on anyone who is ritually clean, that person must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remain unclean until evening. Any saddles or seats on which the man sat, or the man with the discharge sit, anyone who carries anything on which the man sat must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remain unclean until evening. If a man who has a discharge touches someone without first having washed his hands, that person must be washed. That person must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot that the man touches must be broken, and any wounded bowl that he touches must be washed. After the man is cured of his discharge, he must wait 7 days and then wash his clothes and bathe in fresh spring water, and he will be ritually clean. On the 8th day, he shall take 2 pickons to the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence and give them to the priest. The priest shall offer one of them as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. In this way, he will perform the ritual of purification for the man. When a man has an emission of semen, he must bathe his whole body, and he remains unclean until evening. Anything made of cloth or leather on which the semen falls must be washed, and it remains unclean until evening. After sexual intercourse, both the man and the woman must have a bath, and they remain unclean until evening. When a woman has her monthly period, she remains unclean for 7 days. Anyone who touches her is unclean until evening. Anything on which she sits or lies during her monthly flow is unclean. Anyone who touches her bed or anything on which she has sat must wash his clothes and have a bath, and he remains unclean until evening. If a man has sexual intercourse with her during her period, he is contaminated by her impurity and remains unclean for 7 days. And any bed on which he lies is unclean. If a woman has a flow of blood for several days outside her monthly period, or if her flow continues beyond, she remains continuous, just as she is during her monthly. Any bed on which she lies and anything on which she sits during this time is unclean. Anyone who touches them is unclean and must wash his clothes and have a bath. He remains unclean until evening. After her flow stops, she must wait 7 days and she will be ritually clean. On the 8th day, she shall take 2 doves or 2 pickons to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence. The priest shall offer one of them as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. And in this way, he will perform the ritual of the purification for her. The Lord told Moses to warn the people of Israel about their uncleanness so that they would not defile the tent of his presence, which was in the middle of the camp. If they did, they would be killed. These are the regulations about a man who has a discharge or a male semen, a woman during her monthly period, or a man who has sexual intercourse with a woman who is ritually unclean. Okay, so I think this will be the end of this reading. We will continue from here the day tomorrow by 10 o'clock p.m. Nigeria time. So before we go, let me read Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in field of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right path, as he had promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid. Lord, it's me. Your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. You prepared a banquet for me, where all my enemies can see me. You welcomed me as an honored guest and filled my cups to the brim. I know that your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and your house will be my home as long as I live. Psalm. The Lord, the world, and all that is in it belongs to the Lord. The earth and all who live on it are his. He built it on the deep waters beneath and laid its foundation in ocean depths. Who has the right to go up the Lord's hill? Who may enter his holy temple? Those who are pure in heart and in thought, who do not worship idols or make false promises. The Lord will bless them and save them. God will declare them innocent. Such are the people who come to God, who come in presence of God of Jacob. Fling wide the gates, open the ancient doors, and the great King will come in. Who is this great King? He is the Lord, strong and mighty, the Lord victorious in battle. Who is this great King? The triumphant Lord. He is the great King. Amen. So this is the end of today's video. I hope each and every one of you have partaken in this, and I hope you'll be the hearer and the doer of this word in the name of Jesus. Father, thank you today for the success of today's video in the name of Jesus. See ya all in tomorrow's reading. I hope you all show up as always. Amen.